Pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I think we're ready for roll call, please.
Chairperson Mike Ballard.
Here.
Patrick Fahey.
Here.
Nicole French.
Here.
Jeff Giuliano.
Here.
Sabrina Ford. Dina Kryler.
Here.
Donna Roush. Kelly Fowler. Candy Sue Marin.
Okay.
Laura Oliver.
Here.
I didn't know if she was or not.
Haven't got a replacement yet.
Okay. All right. Approve the agenda, please. And we just got, well, it was emailed to us, so I don't know, take a minute to take a look at the February, approving February and March did not have a quorum, is that right? So February minutes, please.
Do you want to approve the agenda first?
I'm sorry, thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Second. I'll ask for approve to Sorry. Approve. I'll make the motion.
There you go. Dina made the motion, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dina and Laura, please, thank you. All approved?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Now we'll get to the February.
Make a motion to approve them.
Nicole, thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And on to the financial report, please.
Yeah, so we just included one was from the Tourism Commission Fund. We didn't have a chance to get the other spreadsheet put together. Gives you an idea of what we've spent out of the budget so far and what we've also had as tourism tax. We'll have a full spreadsheet at the next meeting. So year-to-date at 15,525, which is about halfway what over what our budget would be if we continue with that trend.
Any questions about that? We don't need approval on that, right?
Yeah,
We want to approve that?
yeah,
Just the fact that we read, okay,
yeah, to have it in front of you.
okay. Take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thanks, Dina.
Second.
Thanks, Nicole. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments. Anybody like to join the meeting today? And
How's everybody today?
good.
My name is Sarah Volner, and I'm partner at the Inn St. Jim. I also have Charles with me. I wanted to address some of the concerns that I had after the event this weekend and kind of make everyone aware. I did write a letter, and I have planned on sending it over to our Board of Aldermen and was going to hand it out to all of you. I feel like sometimes when you read a few days after something occurs that sometimes it might come off a little bit too aggressive, and I am not that person. I want to work with our community in all efforts. I know I've worked personally with Nicole and with Dina on several occasions and with Jeff. Everyone will tell you I'm a team player, and so when it comes to events, it's not something that I'm ever non-supportive of. What I wanted to discuss today was that, first of all, I was not notified I was notified 2 weeks ago by Kara that they would be blocking off access to our back parking lot. My return response basically stated that that would be fine as long as I didn't have anyone that needed handicap accessibility. The only location at our inn that has handicap accessibility is our carriage house out back. We also own we purchased the Sylvanus properties that are behind us. And along with that came the parking lot it runs almost directly with the ends line all the way back. It was not discussed that there would be parking available to the riders. Having said that, I would happily have opened that parking lot and said, okay, just it was not communicated with me. The other situation was not only was our back parking lot not accessible, our front parking lot was also blocked off as well. We did turn away guests that day. There was a woman in a wheelchair that would have liked to have been able to come up to the front. She could not get across the yard, and the streets were blocked as far as she was concerned, where she could pull in her van to get to our sidewalk in our front area. Just those kind of things. I'm not sure whose. That was the other situations. I'm not sure whose event this was. Was it an Autobahn event or was it a town event? None of that was addressed to us. None of us were told. I know that it was mentioned that Charles was contacted, and she was just giving me the kind of, just to let me know kind of comment in her text, but Charles was not contacted. I was not contacted. And again, I am willing to work with whoever on whatever regard. The other thing that bothered me is also that our courtyard had the outhouses or whatever you call them. They were lined against our fence, so our guests were literally sitting on top of those outhouses. That parking lot is big enough that they could have been placed at the back side of the parking lot and not directly on our fence line. Just certain things like that have upset me regarding this event. My husband also went in later that night to check in on things, and they'd also thrown their trash in our dumpsters. I do have pictures of all of the things that took place. We're just really disappointed that it was not communicated. And I really wish that the town would do a little bit more of that, because for us, when it comes to marketing, that's kind of important. I did see online on the site shared by St. Genevieve that they shared that the hotel in town or motel in town was offering discount rates. That's something that we would have done as well. I'm sure that Dr. Fahey would have also done it with the Main Street Inn. Just little things I feel like we're left out of the loop often on, and I tend to sit back and let things play out because that's just who I am. I am not confrontational. I do not want conflict within the community, and I love Jim and Mary. They're great. I have no issues with them, but when it comes to communication from Kara, it's always an issue. She doesn't ask, she tells, and then she doesn't clarify in the end, and that's upsetting to me. So.
Well, I'd like an opportunity to address some of your comments, and that is one of the things that I am piloting actually will help with communication and collaboration, and that would be the, Google Workspace. And I am inviting people from various groups, downtown, B&Bs, and we're going to roll it out, and with that very thing in mind, to improve our communication, transparency, so, even you can belong to multiple groups and information would be there, so, if things were blocked off, or if there was any miscommunication, or what's the route, where, when are you going to take down the barricades, all of that would be available for anyone.
We were told that those barricades were supposed to set by Autobahn. So that morning I woke up and they were moved down to our end of our street.
Right, but what I'm saying, Sarah, is that's a great case study, multiply that by probably 50, about how everybody has the right intentions, but, sometimes you're bumping into each other, and if you had access and could go check that, oh, this is the route, oh, well, they're going to take it down, whatever, then, what I'm saying, then you would know, you would be included,
right.
All the proper people, and that is the goal for using this tool. So I just wanted to say there is a future solution in sight.
And I have no issues with the tour. I think it's great. I've been a part of events. It's actually where my background comes from. So it's just, communication is definitely key, and it's definitely something that we're lacking across the board.
Great.
Now, isn't it true, the sponsors of this event were Audubon and the hospital.
No.
No.
No?
No, from my understanding, the hospital sponsored the event. I do know that because the
You
director
think they didn't
made
sponsor the
mention.
event?
Well, the organizer was TrailNet.
TrailNet.
They were the organizer. They're the ones that
So
really.
if we had a question, we would call TrailNet about what time they were starting or what lots were going to be blacked off. Who was in charge of those decisions?
Well, actually, I came in at the tail end of that, so
But
So
who
they-
was,
by
So they
default,
contacted the
would be,
city and asked
yeah.
for the Jefferson Street,
Right.
from Jefferson down to Merchant Street to be blocked off. So that was done.
But those guys need a point person in terms of who is kind of coordinating. Is there one person to call? Is it the website? Is
Well,
it-
at the last merchant meeting, it was Kara. She was the point person.
She was the point person for,
She was a point person with TrailNet?
yeah, for in the city, yes, yeah, and getting things organized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do street closures work?
It's requested, sent to the board, and
And then when they're approved, in this case, I believe it was blocked from Merchant, right? I mean, yeah, Merchant to Jefferson. So were folks notified that,
that was what
From-
we asked her to do.
Okay.
But we don't ask that ahead of time, when we
Yeah.
have like written notification, we just say.
Yeah,
you
okay.
You let your neighbors
Okay.
know.
were you notified?
I was
Were you
not
na-
notified.
were you
No, the only thing that I was notified about was that my back access would, and let me clarify too, that when she said that they were blocking off the parking lot, I explained to her that we do have easement there. Nothing was ever, like, she never responded to anything. So I assumed that she was just going to make some adjustments. That way we could get in and out of there. There were no adjustments made. We did come, personally, I drove up, I have a big truck, I have a Jeep. I drove up through the small cut alleyway that's no longer really considered an alley. It's part of our yard. I came up through that way. My worker can't, she's got a small car, she can't get up through there. And of course, the streets were blocked down by where you would park between us and the park that sits next to us. So of course, my guest, anyone arriving through the day when that was taking place or after, it was just, we were gated in. There was no way that any of my guests could park in our front parking lot or in our back.
Okay, just to clarify, because I was there in front of your house.
Right.
And
It's
I was
her
there with.
business, it's not her home, it's
Oh,
her
okay.
business.
Oh, okay, sorry. But I was there when the barricades were up, and when the race was started, I mean, they removed the barricades.
No, they
So
did not remove the barricades. I took pictures later that
They were in the
afternoon.
middle of the road?
Yes. All day.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if after the racers all went through, if they put them back up.
And the back parking lot, as the day progressed, became fuller and fuller. I have pictures of it all.
Okay.
So,
You say back parking lot, the gravel?
the gravel parking lot
Yeah,
that meets the
okay.
Audubon parking lot. And again, I don't have a problem. I would not have had a problem with anyone parking back there. But one of the things that I guess upsets me is that we have to carry liability. Like, there's certain things that we could be responsible for. And we really honestly could have had all of those vehicles towed that day. And that was just, but I didn't. I
could.
didn't step up to do that by any means.
Okay, I'm gonna put I'm wearing two hats here today, so it's a little bit uncomfortable. I'm gonna wear my chairman hat, and I'm gonna wear my representative of Audubon's hat, okay? Did you not get a text on I'm sorry?
I
you?
did, it's right here.
Okay,
And the responses to it are right here.
okay. So you were notified 2 weeks ahead of time that the event was taking place and that the
That the
the
back-
parking lot was gonna be, parking lot was gonna be blocked?
That your parking lot was going to
Yeah.
block off my little parking lot. I'm talking about the parking lot behind the Sylvanus buildings, the gravel parking lot. That was full of the riders that day that we were not made aware of.
Okay.
Our back parking lot was
Okay.
blocked off by the Audubon
Okay, because when you talk about easement, I'm just trying to figure out.
easement to get into our back parking area. Yes, I'm saying that we didn't have easement, I didn't have access to either. If I was not going to have access to my back, they should have had access to my front parking lots.
Okay.
Both of them were
Yeah.
barricaded.
Okay,
Well, the bottom line, if you don't mind if I interject, the bottom line is that, yes, you know what we should do, we should have a plan in place to inform for any future events, that, and confirmation that they know this is happening so they can make adjustments to their schedules or whatever. I mean, When I lived in Cottleville, we had 30,000 people, okay, far the St. Patrick's. And there were people who came to our subdivision, parked there, and as a result of that, the city said, wow, we didn't know people were going to behave like that, but now, we can do something about it. So we're going to put a plan in place so that everybody is informed, and they confirm it.
I think it's in my personal opinion, I think it's a little different when it affects someone's business. So this lady contacted my office yesterday about not being able to stay at the inn.
Okay.
Because she could not go there because she could not get a room.
I beg to differ. I'm sorry. I just do. Charlie, we talked, you were in the Audubon, and we talked to you in early March about it being closed.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll have,
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
And you do have access to that building. I beg to differ. You have an old alley. It might be driving across grass. We're not gonna use this forum for he said, she said. But since it's brought up in public, we have to say that communication could have been, Sarah, and should have been better. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think it's a stretch to say you weren't aware of it. I think you both were aware of it.
I was made aware of it 2 weeks ago, the back parking lot. That's the only thing I was made aware of. and it's
In the
the
back
specs.
parking lot, I guess we can clarify that, the gravel.
Not the gravel. I was made aware of the parking lot directly behind the inn between us and the Sylvanus building.
Okay.
That's the only
The pavement
parking,
there
that
with the
small
auto-
little parking lot that comes
Okay.
right off of yours. That's the
Okay.
only one that
Okay.
I was made
But-
aware of.
Okay, and we apologize. We thought you had access to that off of Jefferson Street. Do you not?
We do if we're in a four-wheel drive, but cars cannot come up.
Okay.
Literally, my worker was there. You could call her right now and ask her
Okay.
where she parked.
So I will tell you that we apologize for that. We have future events planned, and we'll definitely work that out, okay?
Well, you have one next weekend, the 28th.
29th,
Or the
2 weeks.
29th.
2 weeks, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Next weekend. Not this weekend. Next weekend, the next one. Come on, man, it's Wednesday for me, what are you talking
Okay.
about? You sure it's
Okay.
not Friday? But I mean, just to say, in 2 weeks, you might want to make sure
Yeah.
that's,
Obviously, yeah.
but I did have a lady call me yesterday about not being able to stay there,
She could have.
yeah.
She could have.
If I
Well,
may,
but she couldn't because she was in a wheelchair.
Dina, you don't know
I'm
that.
just saying,
uh,
she told me.
this frequently happens with events, especially when they're newer events, that you don't always think about everything. And although the idea of the Google tool is interesting and will, I'm sure, be useful, I think your point about having a plan and reminding the organizer, because every event does have a point person or an organizer, that they have to be reminded to communicate with everybody who's, the street's getting blocked off, you're not going to be able to use your driveway, and not just businesses, but I know it affects homeowners too. And that it's great, the idea of, oh, everybody can look it up on the Google implement, but there does have to be the encouragement, if not requirement, to the organizers that they have to make the effort to contact everybody who's going to be affected.
Especially when streets are closed.
And that's part of making things work. But and yes, it is also part of the learning process of doing an event when it is newer or the location has changed. But that should even more be something to encourage people to think about when they're organizing an event. Hey, we haven't done this before. Have I thought of everything? Have I talked to everybody? It just has to be part of the deal, and we have to remind people to do that.
Well, to your point exactly, I have started what's known as, so you want to have an event. And what it is in that folder, it's going to be a checklist. This is project management 101, okay? It really is, and and I need people to support this, to contribute to it, because there's so many little details, you know? Is there enough toilet paper? Are there enough porta potties? What's the electricity? Is there 220 electricity? No, we need 110. Is there gray water? I don't know. There's a little things like that that are in the heads of people who do these, events and have been doing extremely well that needs to be documented. I want to meet with them. I want to capture that. We want to document it. And it's very exciting because, once we have this, we can say, oh, did you go and, we can push it to them and say, here's the packet, make sure you complete all this, follow up with them. And then the communication piece of it is, yeah, we can send out an email to the people, in the community and kind of say, just to be aware to the merchants or to whoever's affected, So this is all very, very relevant. And to your point, yeah, that is right. So there's things in the city folder, permits, licenses, and things like that. There's going to be all kinds of good content in there for them to, to capture. And then, of course, we can do the follow-up. The event organizers can say, do we have everything here? Oh, we didn't get a permit from the health department. Well, that's not our responsibility. That's actually whoever's going to have a juice bar or going to sell funnel cakes or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
we're tracking with you.
Yes, Charlie?
Yeah, I just want to say, I love the event. I did a 100-mile event in St. Francis County. As a planner, I was probably the worst. So I understand how things don't always get taken care of. It should be taken care of. And Sarah, bless her heart, she's got my back. She uses the word upset. I would have used the word disappointed. But she was upset. She was honestly upset. There was a lot of things that happened that just did not set right. And we wondered if we were purposely, it got to the point where we wondered if we were purposely forgotten or left out. And like I said, I love the event. I feel like your property, you can do whatever you want to. I don't think the porta potties was the issue. I just think it was that we could have participated and could have benefited if we just would have known exactly what was happening and had a more clear picture. We live and learn, so next year we'll know, but the event is important. It's important to the city, and we just want to be able to help with it. And we didn't have a chance to do that. The guests that I did have from that were participating in the bike ride, they were surprised that we were open. And why would they be surprised that we were open unless I start thinking, did somebody say, well, they're not going to be involved in it or what? So that kind of set a tone. And like I said, upset's a good word for you. For me, disappointed. Yeah, disappointed is really where I'm coming from.
I really want to work within the community, and I really
She really
want
does.
Mike to know, I really do have respect for Autobahns. We have worked together in the past, and everyone has been very good to one another. It is not about that.
Yeah.
It's really honestly about the lack of communication that took place from this, and it was more of
And
telling me
and
versus.
we're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I have just quick, related to this, I'm Gina Bennett, I live at Windcrest. Be kind always, because you guys are all awesome. You put your heart and soul in a brick and mortar in a community that's not got a Walmart. And thank God we do not, in my opinion. Lately, I run a lot of pages and groups. I find there's lack of communication, Tantalin, thank you, between the Merchants Association, Downtown Renewal, Fourth Friday Art Walk, city, county, individual businesses, and farmers market, and all the other people who want to work together really bad. They do, but they're just not remembering. Be kind always. Just be nice. Ask, please, thank you. It's a whole manners thing. Yay, Tantalin, thank you. Yay, Happy, and all of you people who take your time to do this meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Anybody else? Great, thanks. Appreciate that. I think we're at old business, Happy.
Yep. So past events, the Gravel Classic, as you can see, 309 riders. We had 412 last year. We really feel that the weather affected us and affected other events going on this past weekend. So we had a lower turnout, but we had more people stick around afterwards. So we had a better post-event than we did the year before.
Was there a post event the year before? I don't remember.
Not last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we stuck around.
So we did things this year, so.
Yeah. So you had a band, you had
Sure.
more food trucks, and it was better organized in that respect.
Sure.
Other issues, yeah, we'll correct those.
Yeah, I
next year.
didn't leave my
Plus, I want
house
to say
day,
that
so.
on the postmortem, I'm going to be getting a lot of statistics and feedback, from TrailNet.
Okay.
So I hope to have that within a week, and then, so at the next meeting, I'll be able to share a lot of information with you about that, okay?
So the cold use of that was also this weekend. It got moved up. It was supposed to be next weekend. It got moved up to this weekend.
Because it was going to conflict with something?
I don't know. They just contacted us a couple weeks before and said, hey, we're moving it. This is the weekend we're going to do it. We need to get it set up.
Surprise.
So I think they also were affected by the rain and thunderstorms that came through on Saturday night.
Sure.
And then the Taste of St. Genevieve. Turned out to be pretty good, but again, they saw fewer people than expected.
Well,
Again, because we had tornado warnings that
tornado,
night.
yeah. I was in my basement, so.
Yeah, so I think that they still did well. They met budget, so they were what they had planned on
Sure.
fundraising, and all the vendors showed up. I guess almost all the vendors showed up and turned out pretty good. So that was past events, upcoming events. So I'm sorry that Candy's not here to talk about Pioneer Days. I haven't received any information from her yet. I need to get in touch with her. The Master Gardener's Walk is next month, and then also the commemoration event for the Battle at Fort San Carlos is coming up next month.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
Yes, yeah, that is May, and in fact, I've got some brochures from Margaret, who's the organizer, and because we don't, this is another one of those things, it's like a cold to sold out, we help with it, but we're not the organizers. We will do some promotion for this, but this is so you guys know what's coming up and what's going on with, because it is going to be 2 days this year, so it's an interesting situation. If we could go back to the bike race just a minute, when you're talking about getting data from the TrailNet folks, are you also going to collect data from merchants and attractions and the folks that theoretically were to benefit from this?
I mean, that's, if they want to contribute, yes, absolutely. If they want to,
We had 7 people that day. There you go. I contributed.
Yeah, we didn't see a lot of families this time. We saw a little more last year. Again, I think the weather just kept everybody from bringing the whole group.
So it really goes back to, again, as your marketing tourism director, it goes back to the underlining, what's the strategy of the campaign? What was the purpose of having the
Not
race?
here, I promise.
So, for future events and as we move this forward, we have to understand, what are we trying to achieve? What are the risks? What are the assumptions? What do we hope the ROI will be, if it's measurable, and all of that. And so I am doing the underpinnings so that data can be collected. And I guess this is a good time, not to steal anybody's time, but I had a conversation with a gentleman today, and I'm going to have a report on the assessment of our website. This is a firm that's highly reputable. They have teams in Chicago and also in Georgia, and they have 25 years in the tourism industry, and so I'm very eager to see, what their assessment of our website is and how we can advance it as a very powerful tool, you know, to bring people into the area. And then that's number one on my agenda. So I'll be able to share that at the next meeting as well.
Good.
And then in June, you got French Heritage Festival and Spring for Down Syndrome are on the same weekend. And then to wrap up the month will be the Honey Festival.
Pioneer Days, though, that's the first weekend in May.
Yeah.
She moved that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that used to be at the end of April.
And then the Master Gardeners, isn't that like the 20th and 21st or
It's the
something?
week
It's the
before.
Saturday after Mother's Day, is that
Yeah.
correct?
That sounds right.
Okay.
Because I know it's right before the commemoration.
How did the spring muster go? That was after our March meeting, so we didn't talk about that.
263 people. So it was respectable, considering that it was, primarily an event for the participants so they could record and
Sure.
train but it
Yeah,
worked
I
out
don't know
very
about it,
nicely. The folks had a really good time
Yeah, good.
and nobody caught on fire and
Oh, that was
nobody got eaten by large
was a
carnivores, so
potential.
it
Okay.
was fine.
good.
It was a small.
Great success. Oh, boy, okay.
That's all I got for old
That's all you have for old. Moving on to new.
So the request is we have the potential TTC board member, she lives outside St. Genevieve city limits, lives in Bluesdale. State statute now allows that you have members of the TTC that live in the county where the tourism tax is. County doesn't have to have the tourism tax. As long as you have a tourism tax, you can bring people in from the county. And I think at some point, we're going to run out of people because of, if you're trying to stay with just people that are in city limits, it would be easier for us to also include some folks from out in the county, and it's now allowed by state statute. So the request tonight is to make that bylaw change to meet what the state statute language is.
And you printed that out for us, the wording of it.
Yeah.
It's in the back of the report.
So in my notes, I've got the change and I've highlighted, and then highlighted what the actual section was and what it looks like now.
You sure we don't want to change that part about members will serve without compensation? I feel like we could-
No, I think that's great. I'm trying to get that for our city employees too, but nobody seems to go along.
And yourself, right?
I tried. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
so
have
you
any
wanna-
issues with it.
Need a vote on that?
Yeah, yeah, motion on the second.
Yep. Okay.
I'll make
Does anybody have any issues with the verbiage on that?
Well, it is redundant.
I was gonna, yeah, well,
You could just say, you must live in the county.
So I'm pulling it off of what state statute.
I was gonna say, did you copy and, pretty much copy and paste from state statute?
So they go ahead and edit it that way. So,
Yeah, sometimes it's, if it's, if everybody's okay with it, I'll take a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Nicole. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That'll
I think
change.
this is the first step in sticking them with the tax eventually.
With what? I'm sorry. First step in what?
Putting the tax on people who stay in the county.
no, that would have to be passed by county voters. And it has
So
to
this is the first step. So listen, you've got representation. And if you could be on this board, it's only fair that you be paying for your Airbnb that doesn't pay anything but lives on all of our advertising.
So this is a individual who doesn't live in town, but her business is. It's actually Sabrina Ford out at Microsoft. So since one of our biggest generators,
She does pay good taxes.
In the business is in the city at least, yeah.
Right, yeah. So,
Okay, good.
Election happy.
David, you got your paperwork on that? So what we're doing, now you don't have to get to me, you can do it yourself. So what we're doing is looking for nominations.
I'll pass it around.
It doesn't have.
Or it's in their
It's just-
packets?
All it is, no, all it is just a
Oh,
list for David to keep track of.
Oh.
So what we're looking for is nominations for the individual offices. Secretary treasurer does nothing. Chairman, vice chairman does, because, you know, the chairman's gonna run the meeting or the vice chairman's gonna run the meeting, and we've had a few where we didn't even have a vice chairman. So you're looking to try to get those folks, you know, get somebody that will be able to make the meeting if the chairman can't. So I would start at the top and work your way down. Let's start, you know, if somebody wants to nominate someone to be the chairman. If anybody wants to volunteer, and then you can make a motion to volunteer that person.
Run that by me again.
I'll make it easy. Jeff, you
You want to be
interested?
president?
Yeah.
Chairman? There we go.
there you go.
And then we need a second.
I'll be chairman.
And any other nominations?
For chairperson?
Yeah. So there's, because you could have
Jeff sounds great.
you could have a runoff. I told you.
No, I don't
Dana?
think we need to have a runoff. Jeff sounds great.
Absolutely not. You sure?
He's well attended, so.
And I was going to nominate you, so I'm already sitting in this seat, you might as well stay.
So the chairman can then close the nominations.
I think we'll close the nominations.
All right, now you look for a yea and nay vote.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh,
Was there
sorry.
a second?
I thought there was.
Who did someone, was there a motion?
I thought Nicole
Nicole.
seconded.
Oh, you did?
I did speak.
Yes, I did speak.
Easily forgotten, that's fine.
Do you have a motion and second, David? Okay, all right.
Next one.
So it's closed,
Right,
and we get a verbal.
right.
All in favor?
You're here.
All opposed?
Congratulations, Jeff.
We have to sit at the head of the
Look forward to
table now.
working with you.
Sucks.
So vice chairman, same thing. Anybody volunteer?
I'll do it.
Okay. And we need a motion and a second.
I'll second her motion.
Well, she can't do it for herself.
Oh, then I'll make it for
You make the
Nicole.
motion.
I'll second
There we go. And a verbal, all of in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, you better not be opposed.
And then a secretary, I would just do the secretary and treasurer at the same time, if somebody wants to do
Why do
that.
we have to have those if they do nothing?
It's in the bylaws. so
David is our
If
secretary.
you would like to, yeah, he is, and that's why we have him set up
Is
that
he being
way.
compensated?
He is. He wouldn't stay otherwise. So, I mean, if you want to skip that, you can skip it. If you want to make somebody, that would be the third person down the list in case two people don't make it.
It is another backup
Yeah.
thing.
Laura?
Nominate Patrick.
Oh, Patrick's fine, yes.
This is my first meeting. Can you give me a little warm up?
I will give you a
No,
pen.
I can tell you a story
I will
about
give
it.
you a
I got
St. John
elected
flag.
president
How's that?
Because I didn't go to the meeting.
I will give you
Patrick should be the treasurer. He's more concerned about our financials at every meeting he's been to.
Okay. So that's closed?
Or is it? Is it?
Well, the
Yeah.
motion,
Yeah.
Move for Patrick, be secretary.
second. Nicole, thank
Sure,
you.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we're finished with that.
All right, thank you all. Sorry, it's painful, but
It's
it's necessary. So this will go in effect at the next meeting.
Super. Hey, before we move on to old or other business, can we circle back? At our last meeting, I think it was, we talked about the matching grant for advertising dollars, but it was like an unofficial meeting, so, you know, nothing really happened. But the application for that, I think, opened April 1st, and it closes at the end of May. Did we?
31st, yeah.
Yeah, so. did
We're
we-
participating, right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we had talked about getting a list together of like different areas that we want to throw our money towards instead of just like,
absolutely.
you know, billboards or radio or whatever. So I
Oh, no,
didn't
no,
know if-
I'm prepared to share everything about that. I'm putting everything into a spreadsheet. We can do graphs, we can do whatever you want.
Pie charts. I'm a fan
Yes,
of those.
colored. But, you know, the thing of it is, yes, I have to have time to gather all that up, and that's,
Sure.
yeah, that's where we're
Yeah, I
at.
just didn't know if we
And
made progress with that or not.
that's an excellent segue, if you're ready for other business. So,
We're
I
there.
actually have a real quick question. Happy, is there a new alderperson liaison for this group?
Not yet.
That question.
Not yet?
Yeah, so we're gonna do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
We didn't,
You're gonna just
we
draw a
didn't
name?
do the nominations. I mean, whoever was on would have continued, however, they didn't get
Right,
the election.
gotcha.
So,
Okay.
next
I was
meeting.
just curious.
okay, so with, what time do the meetings usually end
When we get done.
when we get done?
I'd love to do it in 15 minutes, make it an hour. but we've had-
Well, I don't want to keep you, but I do want to make every meeting productive. And as my advisory council, so what I'm doing is I'm proposing what I call listening tours. So I'm going to open up my schedule every part of the week, and I'm actually going to have coffee with individual business owners. And so I invite the community to reach out to me, and I will, of course, be reaching out to you. And the coffee's free, so.
Is it bad?
It's also your place of choice, but Common Grounds is close by, there's others, I'll meet anywhere. And part of the listening tour is a key problem or key challenge, I believe, is identifying our audience. And so that's why I want to use this opportunity to go around the table. Each of you have a unique perspective on the audience, and I want to listen, and I'd like you to, if you would please, spend 5 minutes. Does somebody have a timer? I don't want to go over, I do want to
All the
hear.
timers, 'cause we have little phones.
With your phone, yeah. Or I can just watch the clock. And I'd like to go through, who you think our core audience is, what do you really know about them, where do they live, what do they do professionally, what activities do they consume while they're here in St. John, and are their needs changing? So this is all your opinion. I have some research that I will share at a later date that will go along with the strategy and the marketing roadmap. But this is an opportunity to involve everybody with their unique perspective and to help me, give me advice, give me information.
Sure.
So, let's see, Dina, you're the first on our list here that's here. And I'm going to take copious notes.
So you just want me to go 1 through 6?
You can answer however, in order you want, and you can elaborate on as much as you want. You have 5 minutes.
Now, go.
So who
Be
is our
relaxed.
audience, meaning like who we're trying to attract to our community? I mean, I think that's everyone.
It's
I don't,
It's a wide
I
variety
mean,
of people.
there's no certain demographic. I feel like we should entice families and singles and girl groups and guy groups and golf people, whatever. I mean, I think,
But there must be a geographic. We're not going to be advertising in Florida.
Wait, please don't interrupt her.
I just think that in
Thank you.
general.
No comments,
No
this is her
discussion.
time,
This is
not-
please.
okay.
In general, I think our audience is everyone. We want to appeal to, we want to come off as family-friendly and girlfriend, weekend-friendly, wine-friendly, tourism-friendly, whatever. Our audience is large. What do we know about them? I mean, as an individual who's 46 years old, I like to think that I probably fit into several different of those groups. And if I'm going to a community, I'm looking for certain things of where am I going to eat? Where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? So we know what they give us. Where do they live? I'd like to ideally think that we're getting a lot of day trippers, more so than people who are coming from Florida or Arizona for a weekend or whatever. I think we're getting more people that are an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours away that can come, spend the day, and then drive back home if they choose to not stay. What do they do professionally? I mean, I think that's a loaded question, really, because I don't really want to judge what they do or what they
Oh, it's
don't
not a
do
judgment. It is-
professionally.
It's not a judgment.
Shh, don't interrupt me.
What
What activities do they consume while they're in St. John? I think that they are shopping. I think they're going to the wineries. I think very little of them are going to our museums, which is a shame because we have a lot to offer there. But I think they're dining and they're probably going to the wineries and doing shopping. How are the needs changing? I don't know. They're probably pivoting just like everybody else is, post-COVID and getting out and spending more money. Again, doing a day trip. I don't think they're doing longevity trips with their families to this area.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Candy's not here. Well, there's actually people not on this list. So how about if we just go around the table? Nicole,
I was
please?
gonna say, nobody else is here, so I
Yeah.
guess we're done. Okay, so who is our audience? As Dina said, I think we have a very wide variety of people that come here. I mean, I see a lot of families with young kids in my store, but that's probably gonna be different than what Patrick sees. He probably doesn't have a lot of kids staying at his, Main Street Inn. But we get people that come in the summertime to go to the water park. We get girl groups every weekend that want to ride the trolley and get wasted and go to all of the wineries. We get older couples that are just day tripping. They maybe live like an hour away. They want to come tour the historic homes. I mean, it's a mix of people. So I don't think we can really say like, oh, we get single men between the ages of 35 and 43, because we don't. I haven't found them. And what do we know about them? I think a lot of them come here with some sort of a purpose, but then I think we also have several that, maybe they were just out driving around. Maybe they were over in Caledonia for the day and they got on their phone and they looked up candy stores and it then sent them here. And so then they showed up in St. John. I hear that a lot. We get a lot of people that will come down just to go to Overly's and then, they looked at their phone, they saw something else, and then now they're downtown. So some of them I think are coming here planned with a purpose, like going to the water park, going to the wineries, going to the museum or whatever. But then I think a lot of them, it is just on a whim because they saw something on their phone or they happen to be scrolling Facebook at the right time and one of our posts came across their feed because of geofencing or who knows what. Where do they live? I mean, if you ask people during the summertime, they live all over the place. We get travelers from all over the United States that are doing summer road trips or whatever. People from different countries come here too, so it's not that, they live in one specific area. I think we do get a lot of people from Southern Illinois. We get a lot of people from St. Louis. That's a big draw. A lot of people from Cape and Jackson area that come up. So it's centralized, but it's also all over the place with where they live. What do they do professionally? I've never really asked because that doesn't pertain to me. Money is green. It all spins the same way. I'm not really interested in finding out what my customers do professionally. So maybe that's my bad. I don't know. It's just not something I've ever asked. And then what activities do they consume while they're here? Again, it depends on the time of year. Obviously, the water park's not open all year. So, during the summer when it's hot, a lot of people are going there. That doesn't necessarily mean they're all coming downtown to go shop, but some of them might be staying at the Microtel or they might be staying at bed and breakfast or something to, do a whole weekend at the water park. A lot of people come for the wineries. The trolley has been really good about encouraging groups to do that on the weekends. So I think that's been a big draw. And then the museum, I think the Dinosaur Museum is still drawing a decent amount of families. A lot of homeschool groups come to town for, the Center for French Colonial Life and the different programs that they do. So yeah. And then how are their needs changing? I think what Dina said, a lot of people are doing day trips, but then they're also doing, these little plannable weekends. And so people need to be able to easily and efficiently look up information about what's here in town. Anytime I'm planning a trip to a different city, I always pull up Google Maps and I pick the city that I'm going to and I search restaurants, or I pan out and I search places to stay, that kind of thing. And so I think that's a very important thing that people need to be able to do. So we need to make sure that all of our businesses are online and have that up-to-date information so that we can get those people here.
Thank you.
So.
Well, from my little perspective, which is different than a retail candy store or maybe the Chamber of Commerce, you see most of the people who are coming to stay overnight. We're talking about the inn. That's a specific demographic. I think it's people probably have a little more money because they are spending more time and more money to stay here. I did an analysis on our computer system about 4,000 names and where do they come from based on zip code. And rough approximations were 50% of people who come to stay in a B&B were in the St. Louis metro area, that 1 hour, 20-minute drive. And those are kind of our mainstay. They come generally for 2 nights. The other group, surprisingly, is the Southern Illinois group. Small towns in Illinois, because I think there is nothing to do in Southern Illinois. And so that we are a sparkling city for them to come with much more to do than in that it is. There are areas in Southern Illinois which are the poorest parts of Illinois. The counties down there are poorer than Cook County and all the places we think about urban poor. Southern Illinois is a poverty area with people without restaurants or other things to come here. Also got more from the south than I thought. Down to Memphis and the Tennessee area driving up. Surprising, Western Missouri, we didn't draw very much from people from Western Missouri. We had more people from Arkansas than we did from Southwest Missouri.
Are you referring to Kansas City when you say west? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that area, they, whatever. When a few years ago, the head of the national park, the big guy that came here to sign the papers and doing it all, stayed with us during that week. And one day at breakfast, he told me, he said, you know, we travel around, go to a lot of different places, see a lot of parks. This is the finest town I've seen for a 2-night stay of any place that we visited. And I, well, what do you mean? He said, well, there's 1 day of history and 1 day of driving and touring and doing vineyards and spending time out in the country. And I think a lot of our guests follow that pattern. There's a full day of marching around, starting with, they're here to see the historic sites in the museum. Sprinkling off of that is stopping for lunch and shopping and doing the rest. And the growth of the vineyards, particularly restaurants. The Charleville looks like we've had a number of people come, and they're coming to go to the new tasting room at Charleville. The Antique Mall, we have a visitor sign-in. There's nothing very scientific about it because I think most of the locals probably don't sign in. The locals tend to be the nosiest people who come in the place. The other people, and I look at where those names are just running through, and that's much more of this 30 to 50 mile geographic of small, what are those towns out west of us here in Iron County?
Caledonia, that area.
Yeah, I don't know those towns very well, but most people don't have much to do either, I don't think.
Potosi, Steelville, Salem.
Yeah, that area. And they're coming at least for the day, and they sign in and show up with that.
Okay.
No debate, okay?
Pardon me?
No debate.
No. What about, so what do you know about them? Is that inclusive of that? What do you know about your customers?
I know everything about my customers.
Well, do share.
I get to know everything about them,
Okay.
including that guy who was walking from New Orleans to Minneapolis, who
Okay.
didn't stop talking for an hour and a half. Lonely.
Well, when I say no, when they stay at your, when they come to your facility, okay, then what do you know about them? Like, for example, I know that this resonates with them. I know they're looking for this.
Yeah, well, I kind of gave the broad strokes of
Yeah.
the history, the national park designation, and the winery are the kind of the 1, 2, 3. They don't
Okay.
come here to say, I came to go shopping.
And they
at all.
have- yeah.
I do ask everybody if I can, well, how'd you hear about us? Which
Yes.
is important, and that's all over the place.
Okay. Professionally, what are you seeing? I mean, you know a lot about them. Are you doctors, lawyers, truckers,
Yeah,
teachers?
Yeah.
students?
Yeah, you know, I think Airbnb is probably a whole different group
Okay.
of people, probably who come more in groups and want to stay. We tend to get more retired people reasonably well off, you know, at $200 a night. There are plenty of other cheaper options, so these people are a little better off, a little more professional, retired.
Okay. How are their needs changing?
I think ecotourism is one thing that is coming up. The number of people who come down to be able to walk in the Han Park and have kind of a green experience is something that I think is increasing. Somebody today called me and said, I've got a Tesla, can I get it charged? And I had to say, is it true? Is our city council still debating if they think EV vehicles are here to stay, or do they think it's a
EV
fad?
wouldn't be specific for Tesla.
Not for Tesla, but we're
We're
planning or hoping
looking
to have
into a
some.
grant.
He was looking for a charging station, and I had to tell him I don't think there is a public charging station in town. But if he wanted to get his Tesla charged, there are 3 Teslas on 2nd Street that all have charging available privately.
Free? I'm just teasing. Okay.
If you stay at the inn, I told him I'd charge you for free.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Patrick. How about you, Jeff?
Okay, going back to Dina's point about our audience is everyone, but within that everyone, one of the things that is a strength here is that there are so many different parts to the package, and there are so many options that, yeah, people can go to see museums one day, stay overnight next day, go to the water park, go shopping, go to the wineries, that we find that there are a lot of people within that everyone who are drawn by a specific part of it. Like, for example, Nicole mentioned the homeschoolers. We get a lot of homeschoolers going through the Hands-On History House. And the lifelong learners, people that are a variation on cultural and heritage tourism travelers who are looking for history, culture, something that is more than just having a glass of wine and buying tchotchkes. They are the people who tend to want to stay overnight, they stay longer, they spend more money. I've forgotten what the exact percentage is. But those tend to be, again, lifelong learners. They come literally from all over. We get a surprising number of people coming through the museum who are from East Coast, West Coast, Canada. It's been a little while, you know, everything got thrown off, but before COVID, international travelers. And it is an important segment, because like last year, and we're on track for doing a little better this year, we were in 15,000 range. I know Park Service was in that same kind of range. Learning Center, I think they were 12 or 13. So those are significant numbers coming from museums. They're not all just coming for shopping and such. And, well, for museums of this size. And as far as what they do, talk to a lot of people who are teachers, a lot of people who are business people. But the other thing that you see a lot is families where families that, again, in that context of cultural and heritage tourism, are looking for something educational and fun but educational to do with the kids, and then the next day they'll, or later on that day, they'll go to the water park, or they'll go to the
How are the needs changing? You have.
how are the needs changing? Well, it's, I think for a lot of the older visitors, they're having trouble getting here. There are fewer of those group tours that there used to be, just like there are fewer, a lot fewer field trips than there used to be. Schools don't take field trips the way they used to. We're trying to reach out and market to that and get them to come, but it's a challenge. And
All right, thank you. Laura?
Our audience changes through the week. It's different. Weekday, a lot of retired folks. In the summertime, we'll see the families that have been to the water park and the dinosaur museum, and then kids get to see a cave and mom and dad get to have a glass of wine. Weekends, it's everybody, 20-somethings on up. A lot of women groups through the week, mostly retired folks through the week, who are leisurely, they have all the time in the world.
During the week specifically?
During the week, yeah. They avoid you won't see them on a weekend, no.
Okay.
The majority of our folks do come from St. Louis.
Okay.
We do get an hour, I would say within an hour radius, but the majority of them are coming from St. Louis. I would say 85% at least.
Okay.
We do see some traffic up and down 55, people stopping on their way to Memphis, or, we see a lot of people visiting their kids at SEMO, pulling off.
Okay.
What do they do professionally? Everything. But through the week, it's mostly retired people traveling. Our folks are foodies. They're wine. They're looking for a good place to eat. That's the number one question I get. Where should we go eat? They want something different. They're coming from the city, so they're looking for a foodie experience. They've had their wine.
They have to sober up, right?
They have to sober up. That's right. How are their needs changing? I think because they're coming from the city, they're so used to convenience, they're used to getting what they want when they want it, regardless of the time of day. They are frustrated when there's not a whole lot to do in the evening or first thing in the morning. They stay at the B&Bs, they have their breakfast, and then between 8:30, 11 o'clock or so, now what do we do?
Hang on a second, let me capture that. So between what time frame? After?
Well, they get up and they have breakfast and they'll
Right.
stroll. You can see them stroll around town. If I come down for coffee or something,
Yeah.
they're like, all the shops are closed.
And what time is that exactly?
Well, between 8 and 9 o'clock.
Oh, 8 and 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's a Monday or Tuesday and all the shops are closed.
Okay,
Almost all.
Almost all, you're right.
wow.
But I think they're so used to having things open all the time that it's a little bit of a,
Right. So there's an opportunity, if somebody
I
wanted
think
to do
that's an
yoga in the
opportunity.
park or Tai Chi in the park or something.
and some of those things are happening. I see
Are
that. Well, I see, Bricks had yoga the other morning. And,
Okay,
I see, there are some
Okay.
things, but I think that's how things are changing, yes.
very good. And anything else about changing needs?
No, I think everyone else kind of covered
Okay.
everything.
Okay. All right, well, I don't want to keep you too long. I just wanted to, I very much appreciate that there's a lot of insight, and I'll be sharing my research and findings and so forth and what the plan is. I just want to wrap up with, I brought this brick. Nobody's asked me why I brought a brick to the meeting.
We're
We
waiting for
did,
you.
you were in the bathroom, or you were out there when we were.
You thought I was gonna-
When we were talking about
Time's
it.
over and toss it? No. This brick is just kind of a physical illustration, I think, about, every business owner, every family, everybody's carrying around something that's heavy and they need help with. And so I just want to say that I'm here, you know, to help this community. I love this position. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, but I also am aware that there are people in the community and in this room that don't necessarily support marketing, tourism director, and, you know, I want to be giving their, I want to get their full support. I think it's critical for me to be successful, and I need to have barriers removed and delays and different things like that, and so I just invite you to get with me one-on-one if there are concerns, and I can deliver on expectations, but I need support. And without it, whether you hire an agency or you hire another individual for this position, it's a waste of time and money if you don't support that direction 100%, one way or the other. So with that in mind, thank you very much.
I'm going to take a minute and double or piggyback on what Gina said earlier earlier in the meeting. I think she hit the nail on the head of support each other, be kind. I tell you what, we have a jewel in this town. We really do. And we have some wonderful events. Everybody in this room and so many more in our community have dedicated so much of their time, volunteered their time, and I appreciate, especially when folks come out in the public and give us input and stuff. That's awesome. I appreciate, you know, the feedback. I hope that we can continue to support each other and have a lot more positive than negative moving forward. We have a great lineup of events ahead of us this year in this town. I'm looking very forward to going into this tourism season. A lot of events lined up, a lot of great events lined up, and I'm looking forward to it. And I just hope there's a lot more positivity this year than maybe in the past. I'll leave it at that. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thanks, Pat. Second. All right. Have a great evening.